we did a walk around, and it was really fun. I had this little bit of anxiety going on of what am I missing? What's he going to see? And almost every time before he spoke, I saw it. It isn't anywhere near as it's warm here, but is it correct warm? Is it not warm enough? And,
that feels real good to me. That feels real good to me. Yeah. How deep is it? This is like
it's
6,
not.
7 inches? Not very deep?
About 5 inches.
Okay, all right.
It's right there's the bottom.
Okay, all right. Well, what we do is let me just say it this way. The deeper it is, the better. Here's what happens. If I told you to go out and build a compost pile 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, if you know anything about compost, you look at me and say that's impossible. You can't build a 2 by 2 by 2 compost pile. Why? Because there's not enough core mass to maintain a community of bugs. All right. You have to build at least 3 by 3 by 3 in order to get a core. A core here that'll support. Well, I call it the internal vitals, okay, to maintain. All right. The same thing is true with this bedding. The deep, when it's only, it takes it about 8 inches until you get far enough away from the top and the bottom to maintain a strata that's a core wide enough to maintain a real healthy community of bugs, okay? And so the whole key here is depth. Okay. The deeper it is, the better. And over the years, we've been able to chart our mortality on chicks. The deeper it is, the better they do. So ours can go 24 inches roughly.
Wow.
And so, we're talking
about to hear.
Yeah. And the deep, now I'm not saying it has to be that deep. I'm just saying that we find that it really kicks in positive at about 8 inches. So you're not even at kind of the minimal, the minimal amount yet.
So
even though you've got some good stuff going on, it's just beginning to hit.
So I'm minimal. Tossing way too early on taking out.
Yeah, tossing way too early. Too early. Stir it and let it get deep. And of course, then you get into design. Okay, so how do we let it get 18 inches deep here, before you start blowing out edges and sides, and so then you come into building design. How do we make this to do that? So that's what we did. We actually built a brooder with like a pie pan sides, concrete that came up this high before the first sill plate, so you're not hitting wood and sill plates as you build this up. See, the way all these buildings are built, you've got sill plates or wooden sides or studding that when you get that deep, then you start rotting out all of your bottom of your studs and your sill plates. So you have to go to some sort of a impregnable wall up high enough to accommodate, and that's the design of structures. Now in here, I got a couple of words of advice here. One is to I assume these were probably fed this morning, and they've now eaten it out. When are they going to be fed again?
They get checked every few hours, so it'll be, what time are we at right now? It'll be probably in about 20 minutes, we'll get checked like that.
All right.
But they'll get fed again this afternoon.
Get fed this afternoon.
Yeah. Couple things. One is that you're wasting a lot of feed. That's one reason why you're getting a lot of activity in the bedding, is because they're kicking feed into the bedding that they're now going to find.
Got it.
And so these are supposed to have little spinners on the top. See these holes here? That's supposed to be a little spinner on the top that keeps them from being able to get in.
Okay. They get destroyed. People coming in, even myself come in, we'll pick them up. Eventually it gets bent, somebody drops them, somebody steps on them.
It doesn't fit, and they get taken out.
So take a 1x1 piece of wood.
Got it.
And just put some screws in the end.
And put a screw or a nail, all right, in the end, and replace that. A lot of ours are wooden. It's not hard to do, and that way they're not gonna waste all their feed.
They're not gonna jump in and kick it all out.
That's right. Another thing is, I noticed the water. This really puts a lot of pressure on their liver. From a toxicity standpoint, all this manure and the junk that they're flipping up in there. Okay.
That's why we're in here every 2 hours.
So here's what you want to do. Your next project is to go out and make a little platform. Make a 2x4 frame, maybe you know, 2 feet by 18 inches, a 2x4 frame, and then put slats across the top, like little light, you can rip them on, you got a table saw?
Yeah.
Okay, you can rip little pieces like 1/2 inch by 1 inch on a table saw, and put little slats across there, and put your water troughs up on that,
And then they come
and
up
then,
to
and then
it.
they come up to it and
Yeah.
can't flip all their bedding up into the water. Generally speaking, and then you can set it, generally speaking, you want the water, when they're standing, you want them to actually have to reach a bit for the water. This water should be right about here.
Got it.
All right. Now, these chicks are plenty big enough to begin using drip bell waterers. You know, if you wanted to move. Yeah. Now we're using all nipples in our brooder, nipple waterers, because they're so clean. Absolutely. Best thing we ever did. You never have to clean them, never have to do anything. You just they're on a PVC pipe, you know, nipples there. You just
And
hang them right
does
here.
a nipple. Interesting.
Absolutely. They're the best thing in the world. And that single thing dropped our chicken mortality 5% just like that because of the cleanness of the water.
Food that strengthens community, that's our slogan, and then she's gonna put up, we don't know, something or they're finished.
But that sounds good. We don't
Yeah.
know something. That sounds like that would be a good compliment to this.
Secret to wisdom,
Yeah, there's
ignorance.
a lot word, yeah, we are ignorant. But yeah,
Oh, this
so,
is
you know, it's
wonderful.
coming along.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, we moved from, you know, what we found when we bring people on a tour, we take them and tour the whole farm, we end up here. Then we have everybody do a survey so they can get on our email list, and then explain how we do our food program, give them paperwork or sign them up then depending on their interest level. And then we always take them around to the, in the very end, this is Craig's idea, it's fabulous, take them to the freezers and they stand in their shop. For that one tour, they give everybody a free chicken.
The inner sanctum.
tour to start, we've been doing that.
Oh yeah.
The boxes that we send out, and we are doing weekly, but it's like 3 drops. So that's our walk-in, so she prepares their orders, and it's pretty good where here's the rum, unless they say right there is where we'll have the kill. We don't use these cones anymore, this is our first round. And we got one of the holders that has the 6 cones on it, and it sits right there. Then the water, the hot water that they go into to immerse them, and then the pucker. And then we'll have 2 stainless steel tables running along here, then another table, and then I'll be there where, because I'm a control freak around this, is that we set the chicken on.
He's the control freak on everything.
Yeah. He's there. Was that on tape? Can you edit? So I will never live that down. So,
It appears to be in the cooler. The chickens I saw in there,
yeah, there's a lot of.
there's a lot of blood in the bottom of the bag.
Right.
And I'm not, that's just
No.
my impression.
No, there is. And so what I'll do with the chickens when they, if they don't go out immediately to the customer, is Alex will turn those over, put a hole to clean that up before we send them out. But those will be, we just processed those, so we'll clean them out before. We've been running out of chicken, so they don't get to sit there and then get frozen that way because of that. But it's how do you do that?
All right, my sense is that a couple things. First of all, they should not have that amount of blood in them at that stage.
It should be gone by the
It
time
should be
they
gone
get
by the time they get in that bag. So I'm trying to think, all right, how is that blood staying with the carcass
What happens
that
is
long?
It starts with the cones here. It takes probably,
Yeah,
they'll get cut here.
Right.
And they'll sit in the cone until they're done flopping.
right.
And then it goes, that's...
No, yeah.
Okay, all right, I think where you're probably not getting the job done is probably in your chill, right? In other words, you're saying you're gutting,
Right.
they come off the gut, they go QC, you check them over, you
Right.
poke the legs in, and then they go into ice,
Right.
but they don't go into water.
It's water.
Yes,
It's
it
a
is.
fi-
Ice and water.
Right.
For how long?
20 minutes.
And then where?
Then they go onto a table.
And into a bag.
Well, they go onto the table. Well, yeah,
Yes.
we want them to have a certain amount of time where I do a real firm shaking of each one to get out of the
Okay.
excess.
Let me
Yeah.
encourage you to one more step.
Okay.
One more step, and that is a non-ice, cool water bath for that 20 minutes.
We did that on the first 2 batches.
And then go to the ice water.
And I think we should get a chill tank down there for ice.
And I think that you're gonna find that one
Got it.
extra water kind of
A little more.
absolutely. That's the water that should turn bloody.
Yeah.
The chill tank water should not be bloody.
Correct.
You should be able to put
Right.
your hand in this far and still see your fingers. If you can't put your hand in, 12 inches or more and see your fingertips,
Right.
Yeah, you
so, they're not getting clean enough prior to that final. And of course, you realize it's very difficult to get all that water. That's the water that's in the bag.
Right.
That's what the ice water is what you're in your bag. And so if that water gets real red and bloody, then
That's what you're saying.
those drippings are going to be the drippings out of the bag.
Got it.
What I'm trying to do is you either take the attention on this end of it, or
On that.
now you got to go in and
Do it there, so you might
fiddle
as well do it.
faddle,
Right.
fiddle faddle with that to make it presentable and good.
Got it.
Now, another thing that I've seen that people do, and we don't, but I've seen people do, and it's very effective, and that is to pull a vacuum when you do that bag. I've seen people
wet
go
vac?
down to the like the Goodwill store and just get these cheap $50 used vacuum cleaners. One a season. It lasts a season, then it blows out, and you get another one next year. And when you're sticking it in that bag, you just stick the end of the vacuum into that bag, and all right. And it doesn't stay vacuum. It's not like vacuums,
Right.
cryovac, but it does suck every single bit of moisture and drip and junk out of that bag.
Wow.
And it really makes we're talking about presentation here.
Oh,
okay?
totally.
And it makes this beautiful presentation. And so you burn your vacuum out once a season, you buy another $51 one next year, and you just go. And some people are doing that. So, now we have not had to do that because we've got this double stage. What we have is a big double stainless steel sink out of like a restaurant. All right, a big double stainless steel
Right.
sink. We fill up one sink, and then we
Got
fill
it.
up the other sink, and right before the other sink is full, we empty this one, drain the water, and so that water is constantly turning red and being drained.
Got
Every
it.
single 10 to 12 birds, depending on size,
Yeah.
okay? And then they come from there into the chill tank. And of course, when you're running 200 birds an hour like we do, that thing fills up in 10 minutes. But that 10 minutes soak
Right.
in non-ice, just basically ambient, 55-degree water, really pulls that blood out, that initial soak, from
Good
just
point.
after you've gutted them
We
and stuff.
started doing that, and then suddenly we weren't doing that anymore. We changed our process in mid
came back
because
and-
you went home.
We'll also use less ice.
Yeah.
Because you're chilling them, pre-chilling them before they go in the ice. You'll
Yeah,
leave them
that's
outside.
right. That's right. You're
Good
using
point.
a
chill
little,
tank is
little
the
less
final.
ice.
It's not. Yeah, the chill tank is final. The birds are done.
That's
chill
right.
tank is just there to keep them cold,
To-
not
to-
to clean
yeah.
anything, not to wash anything.
That's
Good
right,
point.
to
Okay.
drop them down. And we leave them in the chill tanks for a couple of hours.
Really?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Because we want that body heat to be completely out of them before they go into that increases your shelf life.
Right.
If
You got some big tanks.
we do. We have some big stainless steel vats, but you can also get from like Cornerstone. What's it called? Cornerstone. It's Jim McLaughlin in New York. He is selling these wonderful insulated. I ran into a guy in Georgia that's using those. He said it cut his ice use by 75%.
Really?
He said he can dump them in there, and what he does, he leaves them overnight, and then walks away from it, and then comes back in the morning. You don't have a processing day. a lot of this processing, as you know, that's the bottleneck. I mean, that's the big, all hands on deck, big deal, okay? And so, so the more you can take this processing and not have it such a marathon. We're gonna process this
Split up
morning.
independent activities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're gonna get this stuff chilled down, shove it in the cooler overnight. We're gonna enjoy supper and all that, and then we come back tomorrow morning. We're all
Two people
fresh,
can bag them all in
and
an
then
hour.
we can bag them, or we cut them up,
Yeah.
or we do whatever we're gonna do with them. And it kind of breaks up the thing to where it's not quite such a long, arduous day. And now if we're just bagging, yeah, we go ahead and bag in the afternoon. Then they're in there. You don't have to look at it tomorrow. But anything that we're cutting up, we're doing anything else to, we do the next day. We don't try to cram it into the processing day.
How much time do you guys spend on one chicken from beginning slaughter to?
How
in the
long
chill
is the
tank?
chicken in the process? Our average bird is in the process 10 to 15 minutes from kill to chill.
Chill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, if you're making some mistakes with the scalded water, obviously, and
Right.
the QC backs up, then you know that's your big deal. But if everything's running pretty clean,
We're
10 to
pretty
15
close to
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not far off from that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
And
maybe-
our benchmark, just so I'll give you some benchmarks as we go along, just so you understand. Our benchmark is 25 birds per person. So if we have
Per
two people,
hour?
yeah, per hour, 25 birds per person per hour. So if we have one person, that's 25, two people 50, three people 75, four people 100, up to 8 at 200, and at that point we start maxing out our processing facility. We just can't, we can't handle it. So eight people, 200 birds an hour is
So we
our
have some
benchmark.
efficiency.
We're close to that.
How many can you do an hour, Craig?
Yeah, but see, but that-
On the right side,
Plain
zero.
farming.
No, but see, but that just goes down
Right.
to our knives, the way that it's set up, the way that it's put into a line instead of just being a triangle like a normal kitchen that you can
Right.
get from point A to point B without having to walk more than 5 steps.
You don't want to have to walk anywhere.
Exactly.
You want your kill. You don't want to have to walk with killed chickens over to a scalder. You want to be able to stand right here,
Pivot.
take them and pivot, take them and pivot, and then from the scalder to the picker again, no steps, and then picker to table.
Plants and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, this is wonderful infrastructure, man.
Your feed.
Unbelievable.
Where are you at? You're not growing your own
No.
hay and corn and to make your feed. You're buying your feed.
That's right.
And you don't you're not buying the extra, taking that step for organic, right? 'Cause
No.
and I read about how you.
No.
So I've had even 2 days ago a conversation with someone in town who said, I can get extreme, question from one or comment from a person who will say, you really, you're paying a ridiculous amount, $20 a bag for organic feed versus $9 a bag for non-organic, and the chicken really just doesn't take up enough of that into a system to make a difference because the plant didn't take up very much either of pesticides or whatever. And then the other extreme that says that stuff is so loaded and it is so bad. And I said, I get both of those comments.
Nobody's ever found toxicity problems in our chickens, even though we don't use organic feeds. And so we really trust the grass to do much of that detoxification for us. Now, we would love to use, organic grain, but there's not any grown in our area. We would have to import it from 1,000 miles away. And
That'd be expensive.
yeah, that'd be very expensive. And so our position is we're trusting the grass to get this to 95% purity that everybody can afford, rather than bathing everything in diesel fuel from 1,000 miles away to
Right,
get it
totally.
100% that only 5% of the people can afford.
Got it. That's an interesting comment.
What's the source of
What
the?
a neat, well, you got some
This is the old dairy feed
wonderful
barn.
buildings here, man.
This is our party barn. This is our party barn. On a sustainable farm, you just don't need this in this climate.
It's just, yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, drop a wall down here. I mean, you're facing I don't know where south is. South must be kind of out this
Yep, down that way.
down that way. But I mean, you've got a nice concrete floor with a nice riser here that you could tuck a nice big brooder house in here. Lots of room. I mean, you could turn this whole alley into a brooder house if you wanted to.
Localized too.
It would keep everything.
The chickens are right there.
Keep everything
up to the
close.
house.
You got lots of light. I mean, you're starving for light down there.
Right.
That's really, you're not getting any natural light. And this way you could make this a window side here and get them a lot of light. You've already got your concrete. You got everything poured in here. You drop a little bit of some walls here, simple, and boom, you're up and running.
But then you also got.
Well, it also gives you the ability to quadruple or increase your production
Absolutely.
amazingly.
With nothing more than just a little
We've
bit of
got all the
studding and some
water.
walls. You got your water here, and when it's done, you just come over the front end loader and you clean it out. You don't have to
Right
do
to the
anything
compost.
with shovels. You can store your carbon right here next to it. So you've always got a big cart. You could buy carbon by the tractor trailer load, push it all in here. You got it set for the season. You don't have to come in here with little bags and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Shovels.
totally.
So you'd better think about how do we take these buildings and turn $100,000 a year through this building so it pays for itself.
We have this loafing barn, this was a dairy previously, and the cows would be brought in before they would be milked they would feed them there and then move them up to the milking area. And we considered making it a little bit of an event barn so our members could come and have dinners from the farm there in the spring, summer, and fall. Birthday parties for the little kids. Have this space. And he, with one look at it, you could tell he stopped talking. He was staring at it, and he said, and suddenly we could house our farrowing, our pigs there at one end. We could have our brooder down there eventually, which would be better than where we have it because it's, for all these different reasons of construction around it, it'd be much better down in that loafing barn for the baby chicks.
I think there's a little bit of we'd convinced ourselves that our property was different than the property he's working on and hence somehow harder to work with. And he assured us it wasn't.
Okay, so just, here's
Yep.
this was the CFO's design on our greenhouse. So my sister and her daughter.
This was
I'm
full
so
of
ignorant to
tomatoes.
this era.
We got them started a little late.
This was
last
definitely
year.
done poor boy, but it's survived.
Yeah, it actually flipped once and we had to rebuild. Wind. The gust of wind took it, ripped it up. It didn't have the wooden ends on it.
We've
so it wasn't
never
heavy
been
enough.
satisfied with anything we've ever built with PVC.
Right now,
Really?
we're just
Never.
curing.
It's one of
I
my
mean, like
rules.
wind is gonna, those will cut
Yeah,
punch through.
yeah. My rule is never build anything out of PVC.
We were hoping
Everything
to make it light enough that you could move it.
Yeah.
Uniform
Right,
bed
right,
width,
right,
we
right.
can move it anywhere in
Right.
the
Yeah,
area.
it was, yeah.
Right.
It's been,
Yeah.
And PVC is so brittle.
Yeah.
It'll crack. And wood you can scab on a piece. You can kind of work with wood, but if PVC cracks, you're stuck. You're out. So anyway, sure is nice. Obviously, Elisha has a green thumb.
Yeah.
No question about that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Done it.
Nice work.
Couldn't do it without him. It's funny because we didn't, I always consider whether, because it's so labor intensive on one hand, but it's what's expected by our clients. And, we really don't have a handle on how efficient
how efficient was it?
we are at making this work financially. Because
This is where the interns are needed. This is where I can see interns.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah, this is.
With the rest of taking care of the land and everything like that, that can be done with one-time employee. Nico, come here. Be done with a one-time employee. But the interns would,
Do you have are you watching your benchmarks on dollars per linear per square or per square yard or anything here so that you can get an idea of?
no.
This is the second. This
We've
is the second
talked about
pass
it.
through.
Craig's really good at talking through it from an example standpoint. But we went through it with corn because this was all corn and melons last year. We talked about how corn is not the thing to plant.
Yep.
Given what it can do per square foot.
Yeah,
So,
but customers love it.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
There's nothing
And-
like corn
and so,
for customers.
Yeah, they
A
love
lot
that.
of
They love
biomass
the
too.
tons of for the compost and
Right.
the pigs and You know, and so we've talked about it. We went through the numbers on what we had in the, you know, from the summer and fall, and then the rest of the answer would be no.
Okay, so in other words, when you're going through and picking, nobody's sitting here with a tick sheet saying out of these many square feet, we got this amount of saleable product.
Haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Because this is the first time we planted this, other than we did melons and corn, and then that piece up through the fall was our first
we
real
tripled
garden.
our capacity this
in
season.
the last 2 months.
We got our first crops in mid-June last year, which is late for here.
Let me tell you, for a first season, this is beautiful. This is really beautiful. I mean, it's not like Elliott Coleman, okay? But it's very, very passable. Very passable.
He makes a good point. We ought to be tracking how much labor's going into this area.
Somebody should have a tick sheet.
How much poundage is coming
Absolutely.
out. And how much revenue is being generated from vegetables. Because we may find we're better off to drive 10 minutes over here to County Line and get our vegetables and just focus on livestock. I mean, at the end of the day, if they're good at vegetables and we're good at livestock, there's no problem with that either.
But at least, again though, because we're a destination farm and we want to connect, people
Here's another thing to think about. One of the things that we're doing this year, now see, we've never done horticulture for sale, okay? We've always done it for ourselves, you know, grow our own vegetables and fruit. We've got, you know, apple trees and different things. So this year, for the first time, one of our former interns is coming back, and he is layering a completely autonomous entrepreneurial horticulture business at our farm.
Nice.
Okay, and so essentially, it's going to be his business. He buys it. He does everything. We just release him interns labor as needed. Okay, and he doesn't pay us anything except the 4 months of the summer when we have the interns. Here's the trade-off. The interns have to find their off-site housing. The trade-off is that this year, Dan is going to be an on-farm cook and do all the evening communal meals for all of us, plus all the interns, plus all the apprentices, the evening meal every day, growing it out of our space. We're going to pay him $15,000 for the produce. Half of it, 50% is for the produce, and 50% of it is for the cooking labor for the 4 months.
So
Then whatever else he does, and he plans to do a lot more than that, can sell to our restaurants, our buying clubs, our on-farm sales. He's learned how to do specialty mushrooms. So he's going to do 4 exotic mushroom species. I'm cutting logs for him right now. The thing is, I want you to really think about how do we take some of these enterprises and turn them over to an entrepreneurial, royalty-based, self-financed thing.
Got it.
Okay, so I think sometimes some of these things, if you can figure out, like our rabbits, Daniel basically gave over his rabbits to our apprentice manager, who would have been like Sal 2 years ago, and he just essentially gave him the business. We paid a certain amount per pound, and that was a way for him to pad his income, and he completely took over the rabbit enterprise and doubled it in 1 year. But he had an incentive to do so because he was being paid
on a per pound basis.
So I'm just trying to get you to think really creatively. How do you leverage people like Sal? Because I've been here 2 hours, and I'm telling you right now, this guy right here is gold. I'll just tell you, he's gold, okay?
Don't let it go to your head. You know why you are gold? Because it doesn't go to your head when you hear stuff like that.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's right. And so the thing is, you need to think about how do we let this be an open salaried thing, where in 5 years he could say, you know what, I could earn $60,000 a year here. Then you're going to retain, because people like this are, you're irreplaceable. I mean, they're just, well, they are replaceable, but they're hard to replace.
They're hard to replace. Really
in
hard to replace.
In fact, we're looking, this will be our first year in 3 that we've not had an apprentice manager. We couldn't replace Matt.
Taking applications?
No,
Okay.
he's actually a huge slacker. Huge slacker. And then we put him in the chicken tractors back over here. And that third month we put them out here. And
Yeah, these are all being bred. It's the next one over, the greener one.
And there wasn't anything out here that would put them on his diet. Everything was so
I'm trying to get some of these purebreds to get littered.
The thing that's happening now is we got the market pigs, we got the breeding pigs, we got the pregnant mamas over there that you know their dwellings are fine, but the amount of work that has to go into making sure that straw is raked out, you know, with the new baby pigs, needs to be flat, needs to be dry. You're not gonna keep 5 pigs clean and dry at all. They're gonna go over into their area and you can put straw down and 1 hour later come back. And it's gonna look just like it did.
We buy piggies.
Oh, you buy them
Because farrowing is so difficult. It's difficult, but it becomes its own enterprise.
It completely.
It completely dominates everything else.
Yeah.
And so what we have done is cultivated people in the area to farrow for us. 6 pigs, 10, 12 sows, you know, and they can go out there and do that.
Completely separate enterprise.
And then we're buying wiener pigs. So we don't do any farrowing.
So you wait till about a month or 5 weeks old, and then you grab
8 to 12 weeks.
8 to 12 is
8 to 12 weeks.
Is that 60 pounds or 30 pounds?
Anywhere from 35 to 60 pounds.
Yeah, that's Pierre right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that simplifies our pig thing by not farrowing. Now, I'll tell you a couple things that I have seen in farrowing, just for you to think about. One would be to move farrowing, for example, down into that concrete with a deep bedded, no mud, and as long as they're not, and use that just for gestation.
Yes.
And otherwise, as soon as the pigs are, those pigs there are plenty big enough, at least from what I can see, those are plenty big enough to be out. They could be out anywhere.
They're about 10 days old.
Well, the little
That's
ones
all?
over there,
Yeah, those are 10 days old.
Those guys right there,
They're about 10 days
they're
old.
only 10 days
Yeah,
old?
they're good pigs.
Wow.
Yeah, over
wow,
on the other side.
they are good
we
pigs.
got about, we can venture that way.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to get you
Yeah.
to see
to
that.
see the thing, yeah. My sense is that probably all right, let me give you a couple rules of thumb. One is we don't touch with pigs, we don't touch any of our pig pastures more than 3 times a year. That's it.
But that's in the woods, right?
No.
You
In the
do
woods, it's 1 month a year, one time.
Okay.
1 month a year, one time.
And what do you mean
the
by
thing
touch?
Of touch, that means they're 1 month on and 11 months of rest. 1 month on, 11 months of rest.
No cattle or any other species go in there?
Nothing. And the reason is because when you start going out with pigs, they are destructive, and and the thing is, your big advantage here is the green material that they eat. And as soon as they don't have any green material to eat, you start losing this wonderful. See, your forage put through pigs is worth double what it is put through an herbivore.
So if that they take from it.
Because you're replacing expensive grain with perennial.
Yeah.
And whenever you replace grain with perennial, the perennial value goes through the roof. And so never think about pigs competing with the cows. Whatever forage you can get through pigs is always going to be more valuable than the forage that went through the cows. Always.
But I mean, yeah, these are about 10 to 11 days old. I don't have my calendar on me, but I mean, incredibly strong already, really active.
Yeah, they're
Mom
nice.
was doing real good.
Yeah. But here again, you don't want to ever farrow here again for 5 years. The ideal is keep this thing new ground. If you're going to do it on outside, now if you're going to do it inside, then you want deep decomposing bedding and that sort of thing. But if you're going to do it outside, you got to give a rest. You got to.
And now,
keep them moving.
if you were to do them inside, you would want the decomposing bedding. You wouldn't want to just clean that all out, power wash it, and bleach it down. And
No. You want, anytime you have animals inside, you want At
Thick
least 8
bedding,
inches of
so
bedding.
microbes and everything.
Yep,
What they gotta
yep,
keep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't
Is
want
straw
sterile.
okay? Straw
You don't
okay
want
for pigs?
Yeah, yeah. You don't want sterile. You want an active
You want a
bug community. Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Cool. Well, they look nice.
No, there's 2 up here, so I mean they got water. But if it was a really hot day,
And then we cover that with some poking netting so a raccoon can't reach up to it.
yeah.
But the floor basically is a wood slatted floor.
Well, the idea with the new chicken house is that nobody actually really needs to go in these.
Right.
A working hoe will reach all the way in, and so this only has access, right on the side, on these panels on the side. You can bring them up, you can get the poop out, everything like that. And when people come in, you would like to think that ideally they wouldn't walk on wire, but
You'd also like to think that the water was filled up.
or that both waters would be filled up.
Yeah.
The
No,
other
I'm
thing-
with you.
the-
Yeah,
But,
what's happening here, I can tell you, just looking in quickly, I can tell you, you're dealing with a lot of egg cleaning.
Oh yeah.
That if you have to clean, here's another benchmark. If you have to clean more than 10% of your eggs, something's wrong. That's why we just have flat roofs all the slanting, so
Oh, that's interesting.
it doesn't matter. We just have flat roofs.
It tapped the I got a video of it. It was so funny. They were like, what was it, that one?
As you come from all the way up there and head up, and you can keep going. This is about a third of the way to the top of the thing. But any place in the middle, it would be on an incline. But you're saying just don't worry. That's not a big problem one way or the other.
Nope.
As long as it's safe and it's not
As long
going
as it's
anywhere.
safe and not going anywhere, not a problem. Not a problem.
Well, in the incline, I guess you need.
I mean, those chickens, they've got a good sense of balance. They can get up in there, walk.
And that's another thing with perches. Could they sit on a rod?
We don't have any perches.
Inside the houses.
Sit on the floor.
Sit on the ground.
Where's Russ?
That's another advantage. That's another advantage of the slats, the big wooden
Yeah, they
slats.
just use them as.
They just use them as roofs.
Yep.
They sleep on the floor. You don't have to fool.
You know, someone else.
We just-
Then you
Instead
get
of
rid
the
of
Ramada, our chickens are living in like the Ritz-Carlton now.
Right.
They're on the higher
You can also
echelon.
put an extra piece of chicken wire underneath that, so a raccoon can't come in. If they reach in, they're not grabbing anything. Someone had
That's
mentioned
what
that
he- yeah.
to me.
Yeah, so we have
That's-
we have wooden slats, and then right on top of the wooden slats we have chicken wire to keep the raccoons from being able to reach up, and to give you a little bit of traction when you're walking on it.
around there. Got
Yeah,
it.
because it gets full. It gets
Yeah,
full.
yeah. Then you pull out those roofs. You pull out those roofs over there, and put nest boxes on the other side,
Yeah,
and then
right.
you can double the number of birds in here. Then you start getting economies of scale. Then when you run up here with water or the egg bucket, then you're gathering twice as many
100,
eggs
yeah,
for the
100,
trip.
yeah.
I mean, that's the next. Then you want to hook a second one behind here. Now you've quadrupled it. Now you run out there, instead of bringing 2 dozen eggs home, you're bringing home, 10 dozen. And so we have 2 egg mobiles with 400 apiece hooked together, 800 chickens in our egg mobile
about
pairs.
this size?
No, they're 12 by 20.
12 by 20.
12 by 20. Yeah.
He said, there's a certain amount of effort that you make to go out and open up that hen house in the morning, move it to where the new space, open it up, let the hens out, clean it up a bit, take the eggs out, you know, in the afternoon, feed and water twice a day. He said there's a very small percentage of increased effort to do from 200 birds to 1,000 birds. While the increase is primarily in gathering up the eggs and putting them into the cartons, there isn't that much more effort. However, there is a huge return on getting that extra, you know, several hundred dozen eggs that you would get from 1,000 hens every day.
Well, one of the things that happens, and now we're moving the camera back, talking about, you know, big picture stuff, is good access. Now, I don't know how expensive road building is in here, but let me just throw this to you. You know, for $15,000, we got 3 miles of all-weather road.
All-weather road, gravel, and the pea gravel underneath.
Well, not gravel, but graded. And once you create your access spots, that's then where you lay your water line.
What is the potential? I mean, as far as if you take a normal grazing pattern that most farmers would use versus the daily movements, I mean, how many factors can you get twice?
We're getting 5 times.
You're kidding.
Our county average is 80 cow days per acre, and we're getting 400. We average 400. That's
But they only
times.
come back every
That's a little over
60,
1
90
cow
days
per
or
acre.
once a year on your cattle?
They come back on our place 3 times a season. Three times.
Your season
That's 3. That's, in other words, they're only on one spot
3 times.
one day, and then again one day, and then again one day. That's it.
How much can you get out of an acre, Lauren?
I don't know.
I mean, you do kind of a semi-rotational.
Yeah, I have about 200 pairs on 440 acres, and I don't feed them hardly anything. And so I figured I do it by I figure 1 cow for every less than 5 acres per pair, but sometimes it's as low as 2 acres per pair per year.
And you don't feed them hardly anything?
Mm-mm.
That's pretty darn good.
I try
Because
not
here,
to
you know,
feed 'em.
most people talk in terms of 10 to 20 acres per animal.
Oh,
per
yeah.
animal
Yeah.
equivalent.
Well, where we are, the rule of thumb is 4 acres per cow equivalent. That's the rule of
Real
thumb.
similar.
4 acres per cow equivalent, and at 400 cow days, you're down to less than an acre.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the potential, and I don't even think we've scratched the surface. I really don't. I mean, I just think it's so much beyond what you can imagine.
That's
So,
it
you know,
just-
the
it
difference
gets
is
better
making
every year.
200 acres look like it's 1,000.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
And you don't have to drive as far.
Yeah.
the biggest factor then for you and success is the amount of time per acre. It's not how low you graze it per acre. Like the big thing, like for us out here, is trying to do the dance with the grass to be able to move them before they cause damage, but still have enough grass. You with me? You understand what my question is? How do you determine when you're going to move them there, back in at Polyface?
You mean when they've been? Well, we move them every day.
But how do you determine how big of a piece they go into?
How much we want to take it?
Right.
How much we want to
how
utilize?
much residual dry matter you want to leave?
Yeah. Well, generally, if there's something standing up when they leave, it hasn't been grazed correctly.
Okay.
We want it to look like a herd of 2 million buffalo would make it look when they went over it.
So you want it all the way down?
Man, we'd knock her down. And you know what? That violates I've heard all this about residual. I've heard, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, it's a bunch of hooey.
But then when do you go back to it? If it's knocked all the way down, you go back to it when it's 10 inches or when
No, when it's 30 inches.
Okay, so that's how you're getting your perennials. It might be 90 days before you go back to it.
Oh, yeah. In fact, the rental farms, we've gone to a 2-time-a-year rotation.
Yeah, but when you do,
And boy, when you do that, you start seeing locust trees encroaching for shade. You get all this tremendous diversity.
And it stays greener longer.
Stays green
Compact.
way longer, way longer.
and you actually get more time out of your land too, moving them around. You can see what I'm going
Yeah,
right now.
Let's
What
talk.
I'm going,
Let's
I'm,
talk and walk.
Okay.
I wanted to just walk by the pond and see if you had any suggestions.
I've never done cows, anything like that. But you know the basic concept. Yeah, the basic concept.
Now the ideal though would be to have even in the back of the tractor.
Wouldn't some of that be good building material for stuff?
Oh, we
You
could
know,
do
as far
something
as
with
making
it.
benches and
Yeah, totally.
fun stuff like
Something
that.
special.
around the
It should
farm.
be reused.
Yeah, those high
high critical important projects like making
Oh, yeah.
benches?
Well, you know, picnic is one of the
For all the
top items
leisure
on the
time when
survey.
you sit around watching the
Yeah, it's so funny. This is about when I'm done.
How much you put in and he said that the factor on the slope factor on the dam is about tap into the
Actually, just keep away from this group right over here. Let them kind of do their own thing because they will go. The trees during the summer, so then actually you get some shade. Because we don't have to worry about shade right now or anything like that. They just like to lay out. But like during the summer, when I try to bring them back up through here, they're definitely going to need some shade to go under. You know.
Let me encourage you to go with a full flow valve on that water trough from Neville Supply in Michigan. It's the simplest, most trouble-free, and it's a full flow. That one there, the most at full bore, full pressure, full bore, it'll only let out 300 gallons an hour. A full flow, when it turns on, it's
From
full hose. Neville Supply in Michigan. All the stuff we buy is on our website, listed in the resource section.
Look.
And Neville Supply in Michigan has a full flow, and that way you get away from the valve up on top that they can touch or rub or push or nose, and the valve is down at the bottom with just a ball that floats in there that they can't mess around with. And the thing is, when it opens, it comes in full
force.
Full force.
All right.
And so that's how we can run a herd of 500 head in July with just four 100-gallon tanks on a hay wagon chassis. With that many head.
Because the cow's gonna go. I mean, this many cows is what we were doing the math. How much water per day?
Oh, yeah, they're not much.
1,200 gallons. Not now.
How much a day per head?
Oh,
Depends
a
on the
lactating cow, 10, 12 gallons on a hot day.
Okay, so 3,000.
None of these are lactating, really.
Yet.
10, 12 gallons.
In about a month. We got
10 is a
5
good
pregnant
planning number.
girls in there right
So
now.
take 10, and if we're planning on capping at like 40, 50 head on this property.
That's another question,
500
does
gallons
50,
a day.
of course you don't know the grass and everything
What's
that's
wrong?
going on here. We can put a lot more cows on here, couldn't we?
Not even scratching the surface.
Right?
Yeah,
like the
I like
potential-
it. Once you
Bring on the cows,
once you
Warren.
kick this thing in.
Once we get the grass going, doing what it's supposed to be doing, you think you're like thinking like 150 or something?
I would think you could have how many acres?
238.
238.
That's all in.
Does that include that over there?
Oh yeah, it's all in.
Yeah.
And the steep hillside you told us to leave.
Yeah, I would certainly think that you could go to certainly close to 100 if you don't want to make any hay and you want to stockpile and just know a hayless system. A hayless system, you're gonna probably not be quite as efficient as you would a hay system, but you're not gonna have the expensive hay.
But the hay is only going to be for during the dry time, correct?
That's right. Oh. But what I'm saying is, in order to stockpile enough forage ahead of yourself to be hayless, you have to compromise some productivity.
Mm-hmm.
Because by making some hay, you can restart the growth and eke a little more productivity out of it by being able to touch that acreage quickly at an opportune time to get a second growth back.
With a mower as opposed to cattle.
But if you're going to leave that on the stalk, it's going to go into senescence and dormancy, and you're not going to restart that cycle. The advantage is you're not using any petroleum and you're not making any hay.
Yeah.
So it's a trade-off. Obviously, we want to go to as hayless as possible.
But to get the land started, you might need to do a hay system.
This is where you
just
mow
to keep
and
that
we do the
grass
windrows,
going and
right?
starting to get our systems moving in here.
Yeah, but I don't like to do that. It costs a lot of money to do that.
Really?
Yeah. I do windrow, 300 or 400 acres when the grass is this tall, because what happens is we get, I don't know about here, but we get a lot of fog and the value of the grass just goes to nothing.
Yeah, you got high humidity.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then after we get the first 1 or 2 inches of rain, if it's just standing, then just the value of the grass is nothing compared to what it was in June.
Right.
So if it's windrowed, you at least retain some of it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to bale it and put
and
it in a barn.
it's very possible that your productivity per acre potential is higher than here, simply because of your humidity. You don't have the. Our annual rainfall is 31 inches a year, and
Ours is about the same, I think, isn't it?
yeah, I expect you're close, but now we're not Mediterranean.
Yeah, we're not spread over as many months.
It comes between.
You're
You're a
like
little
4 or
more
5
lumped.
months.
Yeah, you're a little more lumped, which creates a it's a different. It's not better or worse. It's just
it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's different. And I mean, I can tell you that your soils here, just from a structural standpoint, look better than the soils I'm working with. I mean, I'm red clay subsoil. You've got black. I mean, this stuff down here is like gold. You don't see anything like that where we are.
But do you have enough supervision out there?
Along this spot, that's much more drier than where this is right now. So it's been one of those, you put them in, they literally take them all out, put them in the back of the truck, pick these up, move them to the space where it's going to be reasonable grass.
Just say we didn't think of it. Starting at the top.
And then,
Right, Sal?
Right. Right.
Whatever. Yeah, because it's
Always start them
everywhere.
at the top. Always start them at the top.
If you have a hill, you'd rather start at the top and come down.
Yes, we always
make work easy?
on our rental properties, all
make work easy?
all the broiler shelters, everything. We put them on the wagons. We take them to the top of the hill, and
part of it is we don't have anything that's easy to move these on. We've been moving them on the back of a pickup truck and hanging them precariously.
Oh, yeah.
And so we really don't have any way other than pumping them up.
Like a flat
to get them
trailer,
up there.
you know? You can get a trailer to pull them up and everything, but like
Hay wagons aren't expensive.
Can't you?
Sure. Don't you have a tractor?
tractor with
No,
four-wheel
it's
drive
one
that doesn't
person
work.
on each side.
Oh, it doesn't
There's
work?
a little rope.
It will though.
Wagons don't get out.
Yeah, but it will
No,
work.
you don't.
Okay.
pick it
So
up
we need a hay
far.
wagon.
That's fine. You just walk slow.
Hay wagon,
Walk
you
along
put a couple of little board extensions on the back with drywall screws.
Yeah,
You
I
put
can
two
do it.
of
I
them
can
on.
use them alone.
Shoot, these
Just
you could
walk
even
back
stack
and
4 of
back.
them. They're so light you could put 4 of them
Yeah,
at a
it's not
time.
light.
They're so light, but see what ends up happening, you keep PVC in the sun for long enough. You know,
Oh yeah, oh I know. That's why we don't. That's why we don't build anything out
But
of
like,
it.
what do you now?
So this is one of those situations where, see, we're doing it like Salatin, but you're not doing it like Salatin. See, so you know.
So don't blame you on it.
No, don't blame me on it. Don't blame me on it.
So what do you actually build yours out of?
We build ours out of cast off, pressure treated 1x6s that we rip on a table saw. Now the bandsaw mill, but we rip on a table saw into the nice ones into halves for the long pieces, and the knotty pieces and kind of curvy, junky pieces into thirds for the little braces.
About the same
All
size.
wood. 10 by 12. Looks like they're 10 by 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 feet tall. Yeah, exactly the same size. Yep.
And the stability, they last.
Oh, was that 20 years?
I've heard of you.
How long have
You know what? Let me tell you another little thing. When you pull them downhill, the whole thing, you've got gravity working, and you're not pulling against.
It's a lot less stress.
There's a lot less stress on the whole
Right.
mechanism when you're pulling them downhill.
These don't get pulled. These get picked up.
Oh, 2 people.
Two
Right.
people.
One on each end, one on
Exactly. They don't. If
just
these
more-
got
more
drag,
labor,
they
though.
would be done.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're using more labor.
Talking about labor, yeah. Yeah, we move one person on our deal. Our benchmark is 1 person moving a shelter per 60 seconds. So you should be able to, 1 person should move 60 shelters in 60 minutes.
And how do you keep water and feed inside
Water.
the shelters while you're going? I mean, because
They're watered is not the watering cans like we use. He has a system that sits on top.
do you use
and-
nipples in these too?
No, we use a Plas-On low pressure water. The bucket sits on top of the shelter,
Right.
and gravity feeds into the water, so there's nothing the water doesn't
don't
have to be
have to
picked
take
out
it
and
out.
put in. The feeders we do take out.
And yeah, the spindles are all missing on all these.
Yep.
This corner.
We didn't touch the value.
Okay.
Did you hear the spindle conversation?
I told you that a long time ago. Nobody's been taking it away.
But see, we're having the same issue we're having in the chick feeder. You get shit and everything in there, and you actually spread the disease.
Well, the other problem is when you get onto some steep ground, it's going to be really hard to do. Yeah. So you go to a hanging Plas-On water, and it'll hang level where we are. You just hang it up here, and it hangs.
So pretty much from what it sounds, everything that you're saying, we need to set up irrigation correctly in this place because, I mean, everything that we'd like to do would be nice if we had water where we needed water.
Water's number one.
Yeah,
Yeah, water's
number
number
one thing
one.
on the list.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that, you know, that's the one you eat. Yeah, that's the one you eat. See, it's always the biggest one. He's overgrown his tendon. So you can take him down and
Process them.
and he can be a poussin.
And so that's just from overeating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
it can also, in this case, it's probably from being cold, wet too much. He's got an infection, sets up in his knee, and see this hole here?
Abscess.
That's an infection in the knee that's splaying it sideways.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And probably in this case,
wire, chicken
too,
wire.
It's too cold, too wet for too long. Yeah. I mean, that's the you gotta understand. There's no free lunch.
Right.
You know, if we're gonna do this, we have issues that this is why the confinement house people do confinement housing.
But you know, the other thing though is knowing now that we can get up on the hilltops, we should be up on the hilltops when it's raining.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
we're down in the swamp.
Yeah, and look at the wet. You're heading into water right here.
Why are they down here?
It's raining. Yeah.
Well, that whole pasture where the cows are right now, we could put 4 times as many of these. March them right up, right down the thing, and take them back.
Now, one other right down the hill. Now, one other thing. Let me just mention right here is that we stagger ours. I don't know if you've seen our pictures. We stagger them so that you touch every single square foot.
So you don't have to space them.
So you don't have to space them. You got more
slight
room
overlap like you're mowing the lawn.
The other thing is that when you get water seepage and running off, the water up here is not going into this pin, and building up toxicity as it heads down the hill. This one here would be up here, and they would be flared out this way so that the water drainage is not going from shelter to shelter to shelter.
Good point.
Okay?
Plant potatoes.
Well, what I saw is Joel just has such a big scope of what he can see and what he understands about farming that he takes a much bigger view than we have. I mean, we've copied a lot of his processes. And I think overall, if I were to sum it up in a grade, I'd probably give us an A+ for being excited and energetic and moving forward, and a B- for execution, which I don't worry about. It's really just room to grow, if you will, and a lot we can do to optimize. But Joel thinks in terms of, will this last 20 years, and how is this going to grow to where you have 1,000 birds, not just 100 birds that you're bringing in every other week. And it was really kind of mind-opening for me to hear the way he thinks, because it's a much bigger scope, having over 20 years experience in it, and really have choosing this as his career path. Well, Joel has a fee, and he doesn't do this for free. And at first, we looked at his fee and said, wow, that could be a lot of money. But I will tell you, he was so generous with his time, his ideas. He literally worked until 10 that evening, and we picked him up at 7 the next morning. And we clearly got tons of value out of it. It was some of the best spent money we've invested in this whole project.
Not to mention the designs, a whole 200 pages of designs, pictures of how to build our next feather net, for the laying hens, and how to do a farrowing pen, and just on and on and on of things that you wouldn't expect to have from someone who's running a profitable business. So it's almost as though part of his mission is sustainability includes profitability. We need to be profitable, and he's going to be profitable, and he's not ashamed of that. This is not something subsidized by the government. We're not doing this for free. We are going to be profitable, and at the same time, he will do beyond what any other human being would do. In my point of view, he went so far beyond what anyone else would do to help us get to where he's at, and more than willing to contribute as much as he can. And that's his way of being. So his driving this mission across the country is along with Michael Pollan's just fabulous.